general outline about what sort of things we have happened and what we're going to be talking about. World athletics updates, plus, of course, Philippine athletics updates, which are, very crucial, considering that we're in COVID at the moment. Some athletes is ploughing through in terms of getting the work done, no matter which part of the world they're from.
Yes, okay, we're still running in 3, 2, 1, okay. So, we're back again on Facebook after the second part, ladies and gentlemen. So, okay, so here we are with your updates. Andrew, take it away.
Okay, so yeah, as Ernell said, this lady here, Natalie Rose Uai, has just tied the Southeast Asian record. So it was noted in the newspapers that she's, that she broke her own national record, but I really felt that, she deserved a hell of a lot more credit than just saying that she broke the national record. She actually equaled the Southeast Asian record. The Southeast Asian record was held by Kanisa Chumchundi of Thailand, and I believe that she is a Chumchundi before Natalie is a 2 or 3 times SEA Games women's pole vault champion. So the jump of 4.30 meters on July the 16th at Piedmont, which was held at a makeshift setup that one of the top athletes had just happened to have a pole vault pit in their backyard, and invited some of the country's top athletes to come and join. The performance. So this is a deadly triple for Natalie, what I like to call a deadly triple. She's equaled the Southeast Asian record. She's broken her Philippine national record of 4.25 meters that she set when she won the SEA Games. And, she already has the Southeast Asian Games record. So she's pretty much nearly, she's claimed 2 records outright, and she's tied 1 record, which, if she goes for 4.31 meters, then she won't be sharing that record with Kanisa anymore. So the Olympic qualification is still a while to go, and she was, in her interviews she gave with Runner's Space, Natalie was very, very adamant that she has a chance to qualify. She knows it's a long way. She knows it's a long shot. So she needs to leap that 470, which is a 40-centimeter improvement. Luckily, I think it goes well for Natalie, the fact that the Olympics got postponed, because if the Olympics wasn't postponed, then, she wouldn't have qualified. But now she's got more time to hit that standard. So, even though it's a tough standard, I'm not saying it's completely out of the question, but, it worked well for her and some other athletes that the Olympics did get postponed, because, she wouldn't have hit it if the Olympics went ahead at the normal time, but now she's got more time to qualify. Okay, next slide.
Next slide, one moment.
Okay, so coming tomorrow, Legends of Track and Field, the story of Simeon Galvez Toribio, one of our only 2 Olympic bronze medalists, way back in 1932, the closest Filipino athlete who has ever gotten to a world record at the time. He jumped 2 meters, the world record was 2:03. The Philippines' greatest ever field event athlete in athletics. And from 1925 to 1936 was the best high jumper in the Philippines for 4 of 11 years. So his write-up and video will be coming out tomorrow. Next slide, please. Okay. Bagsit is always ready. Could it be our first Olympic gold? So Achin Bagsit, the SEA Games 2013 gold medalist in the 400 and the 2011 and 2013 gold in the 4x4, now competing in Paralympics in the T12, 400 meters. That's for vision impairments. Yeah, there's, he has the potential to be the first Olympic gold medalist. The T12 was won in 2016 in 48.57. Bagsit has a PB from, I think, about 5 or 6 years back of 46.88. Still very capable at the moment with to be able to run in the 48s, maybe even the 47s. He's only 30, just turned 30. 400-meter qualifying is 50 flat. He should easily be able to sweep under that. 100 qualifying as well is 10.98. He's ran 10.6 in his early 20s. There is like with para athletes, for non-para athletes, they get 10 million if they win an Olympic gold. For para athletes, they get 5 million if they win an Olympic gold. But I think that, if Bagsit does manage to win his event, then I think that we can call that the first gold medal that the Philippines has, ever won in track and field in the Olympics, because we haven't won a gold in anything, not even in para yet. So if Bagsit pulls off a win, I think that we can count that as our first ever gold medal. If he gets up to that sort of achievement. Anyway, next slide.
One moment.
Yeah. Okay, and rounding off, so we go from Philippines athletics news to world athletics news. This guy, Michael Norman, better known as a 43-second 400-meter guy, he's just ran 9.86 in the 100 meters in one of the first meets, and this is the first time he's run the 100 meters in 4 years. He's the only man besides South African world record holder Wade van Niekerk to go sub 10, sub 20, and sub 44. In retrospect, we thought Eric Cray was a fast 100-meter runner with 10.25, but this guy, Rai Benjamin, who's the teammate at University of Southern California with Michael Norman, he's just run 10.03 for the 100 meters, and he's a 400 hurdler as well. In fact, I think the second or the third best of all time, even I think ahead of the performance of the great Edwin Moses. He's run 47.02, I believe, is the time of Rai Benjamin, and Moses was about 47, 47.14 or 47.10. So, Rai Benjamin is ranked ahead of the great Edward Moses in the all-time lists. So, it goes to say that, there are 400 hurdlers now approaching that sub-10 barrier. I don't think any 400 hurdlers ever broken 10, but, compare Benjamin's 10.03 to Cray's 10.25. 10.25 is a blistering fast time for a hurdler, but 10.03 is just, it's just an extraordinary performance.
Yes, that would be nice. Yeah.
Yep. So just the next slide. I think this is our last slide now.
Yeah. So yes, thank you, Angel, for the updates, and we appreciate those. So far, yes. Again, ladies and gentlemen, it will be very interesting August for each one of us, because we have great lineup for you this August. Again, anytime soon, Peresh of the Department of Track and Field will discuss about long jump from the University of Physical Education here in Hungary. And also we're working, then we will give you a very good coverage of the 2020 Gyulay István Memorial, because in Székesfehérvár in Hungary, because to give you who will be coming for the Gyulay István Memorial, which is one of the best international athletics competitions in Hungary. I will tell to everyone who will be coming. So it will be Daphne Skippers confirmed her participation in the Gyulay István Memorial on August. So Pedro Pablo, Copelio Alexis, and who else? So those So those people are coming for the Gyula István Memorial here in Székesfehérvár in Hungary. Yeah. So yes, Daphne Skippers confirmed that she will come. Yeah. Anything else? And recently Anastasia also. I think she is now top leader in long jump.
Anastasia Neriya.
Yes.
Okay. Can you there's just one more slide in that presentation. Can you just flip to the next one? I think the next one is the last slide.
Okay, one moment.
Yeah, it's more of a okay. So yeah, just rounding off our slides, some other awesome articles on pinoyathletics.info, talent identification and loyalty, the influence of alcohol on athletic performance. So that's like a abstract to a peer-reviewed article about, you know, how alcohol consumption, how it affects athletic performance. Yeah, so just remember to visit our website, bookmark it for future reference. A lot of evergreen material that, you know, it's not just read once and throw away type material. It's got a lot of evergreen content which can be, you know, referred to like a lot of the time. So www.pinoyathletics.info, and follow us on Facebook, www.facebook.com/pinoyathletics.
Yeah, okay, buddy. So
Okay, so yeah, again, thanks very much
okay.
to our
So
special guest, Titus, Coach Saturnino Salazar, Titus, and everyone else who tuned in today. I think that is all we have time for.
yeah, okay. Thank you. And okay, we end our broadcast on Facebook. Bye. Live in few seconds.
Okay. So I'll just start with the slide while we're waiting for Coach Titus. That should give us about 5 or 10 minutes leeway. I just reminded him with the link to the. I just sent him the link again, and he's seen the link. I'm not sure if he's.
Yes, one moment. Okay. So you can start. Okay, you can start. So
Yep.
Andrew, you can start now.
Okay. Could you
go to
share?
the
Yes.
One
Okay.
moment.
Could you share the slides?
With my kid at home.
Okay.
Here we go. There we go.
Okay, so we're now live on
Pinoy Athletics.
Yes, we're now live. Good afternoon, Philippines. Good day around all over the world. Welcome to another edition of Tuesdays here in Pinoy Athletics. I'm Aaron Alabara of the University of Physical Education in Budapest, Hungary, of the Doctorate School of Sports Sciences of the said school. So we are having our special presentation this afternoon as we invited one of our top performers in the national scene of a national record holder in the 50,000-meter walk. And then with me is my colleague,
15 kilometers.
Andrew. How are you doing? 50,000 meter or 50.
It's good to have. Yeah. Hello.
Yes, go on. Yes, you can hear me. I can hear you.
The connection's really choppy, you know.
Yes, I understand. Yeah. Is it with me or is it with you?
Mute. There's some background noise. I'm not sure. I don't think that's coming from Coach Titus's.
One moment. I'm trying to.
Background noise.
Yes, I'm trying to look who's creating the background noise. It's only us who are having the voice. I think it's Coach Titus is
yes.
Our buddy. I will
Can you
send
hear
you a
me?
message back there. Yeah. Yes, I can hear you. Okay. Okay, so
Okay.
it's Pico Lee Huki and John Oliver Abiag joining us, and also we're now live on Facebook. So,
Yeah.
Coach Ty, if you can hear us, say greetings first to our 23,000 followers on Facebook. And also to our followers in the Facebook group and also the Facebook page. Coach Titus, kung narinig mo kami, mag-hi ka, bumati ka muna sa ating mga taga-subaybay.
Hi, Philippines and all over the world.
Oh, he's taking off his
Welcome
mask.
to Pinoy Athletics.
Okay,
Live.
good. Live tayo ngayon sa Mang Panig ng Mundo. Muli ako si Ernel Abara, ang
Okay, so we'll just start with Coach Titus, and we'll do the updates afterwards because the updates were just there for emergency, just in case we needed some more time. But obviously, since Coach Titus is here, we should obviously appreciate his time that he's put aside to talk with us today. So I'll just start with some questions that I have prepared. So, okay, so my first question to you, Coach Titus, is I want to ask how you got involved as a walks athlete as a beginner. Who was your first coach, and who were your early influences?
I influence mainly those young athletes, and I coach my first athlete, the person of Melinda de los Reyes, Melinda Manahan de los Reyes,
Okay.
who hold the Philippine 20-kilometer record.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, I was going to ask about athletes you've coached, but my initial question is, as I understand, you were originally an athlete yourself as a walkathon.
Yeah.
My question is, my question was, what age did you start doing walkathon? Who was your original coach, and what inspired you to take up that particular event?
Yes, it's the legendary Benjamin Silvanito.
Oh, okay. So he also
Yeah.
coached the walkathon.
He's the one who
before.
recommended me to try walking.
Yep.
Then he mentored me. During that time, we were training with Felizardo Sardenia, Robert Raquiza, me, and Jimmy Gomez.
Jimmy Gomez.
Yeah, Jimmy
Yeah.
Gomez.
And, yep.
We were the first athlete during the time of 1990 when Philippine Sports Commission, the birth of Philippine Sports Commission, the transition from Gintong Alay to Philippine Sports Commission.
Yeah. Those names are familiar. I think Sardinia still has the junior record in the 800. That name just sounded very familiar. Anyway, I was talking with Mr. Ignacio D, and you might have a little bit of a laugh here because he said at the 1985 National Open in Surigao, there was a Korean walks judge who warned you walking on bended knee. But your opponent was not warned because he did it far from the official.
I finished third. Finished third during that time.
And Mr. D said since then, Salazar and I call each other bended knee
Yeah.
as a reminder of what
That's
happened
our
in
joke.
1985. Yeah. So in 1985, I'm presuming you were quite young back in 1985. Were you a junior at that point?
And during that time, I was injured because I'm a
Yeah.
marathoner. I ran.
Yeah.
I also ran in the college track and field from 800 to 10,000 to 42 kilometers, and I was injured during that time. And then Mr. Silvanito suggested me to try walking, race walking. So I embrace it. I love it. During my first competition, I finished third place at the Palarong Pilipino. And that's an open door for me. And I was recruited for the military.
So which school did you actually attend? Because I know that Silvanito originally, he was the coach at Ateneo a long time ago, but which school were you, which school did you go to?
I was in Iris, a state college in Nagtahan.
Eulogio Amang Rodriguez
Yes.
Institute of Science and Technology, or
Yes,
IRIS,
that's my
in
alma mater.
Sampaloc, Manila.
Yeah.
Is that in Manila or whereabouts? Is the
You
school
said it
located?
right, Arnel.
It's near
And-
Pasig River between
Yeah.
between
okay.
PUP and University of Manila.
And Malacanang.
Yes, it's near the gate of
Oh, okay.
Malacanang. So it's just
So
at the
as
back
well
of
as
PUP.
as well as being the coach at Ateneo, was Mr. Silvanito also the coach at that school as well? When you were in school?
No. It's Mr. Mamisaw, our coach
Oh, okay.
during that time.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay. So, like, as in, you started obviously, I'm presuming in the 80s. Was it the early 80s when you started doing the walkathons?
And during that time, during the 80s, it's Sammy Lianyo and Rustico Cabagua.
Yeah.
Were the national champion during that
They were
time.
the top.
Sammy Lianyo
So they were
for
the top.
the 10K and Cabagua
Yep.
for the 20K.
And okay, so like if you started in the 80s, so how long
Yeah.
was your athletic career as a walkathon? When did you actually retire from race walking? When did you
And,
officially?
When I was enlisted in the army, then that's my event for the Philippine Army besides marathon.
Yeah.
And during
Okay.
that time, there's no race walking in the colleges, university, or the squad. There's no walk there. So I ran the 10,000 meter run, and from 800 to 10,000.
Yep. So, up until what age did you participate in race walking?
At 23, 22 to 23, I started the event at that
Okay.
during that age.
When did you actually retire from when did you retire from race walking?
Pardon?
What year did you retire officially from competitive race walking?
I competed my first championship was during 1988.
Yep. International championship.
Yeah,
Well, international meet.
until 2000, 88 to
Okay.
2000.
What year did you take up coaching of race walk? When did you start coaching of race walking? I'm guessing it was while you were still an athlete, or was it after you had finished being an athlete?
Yeah, at the army, I influenced Manuel Oyao and Jimmy Gomez.
Yeah.
Manuel Oyao
Okay.
was also a national game champion. Manuel Oyao.
Yep. So was that the first athlete you worked with?
Yeah, Manuel Oyao. During
Yeah.
2000, no, 1990.
Yeah.
1990.
So that's the first athlete you coached?
Melinda Manahan.
Melinda Manahan. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Melinda
on the
Manahan.
topic of Melinda Manahan, I remember you telling me regarding how you discovered her. It was a very interesting story, and you said that she was a national athlete in another sport.
Yeah.
And then she switched over to race walking.
Yeah, that was the recommendation of Narciso Dasigan, Coach Iso. During that time,
Coach Iso, yep.
Iso is the coach of FEU. And then
Yep.
She asked me a help to coach Melinda, because Melinda wanted to pursue her college education. So during that time, Melinda was an harness player. And during that time, there's no harness in UAAP. So I introduced Melinda to race walking.
Yep.
And that was history.
So when Melinda, being very used to being an Arnis player, I mean, how old was she when? How old was she when she started race walking? I'm guessing, I don't know.
Okay.
So at the short,
yes.
When
at
Okay.
the short period,
Hmm?
a short span of training, because of her discipline, because she's very interested, she was able to compete and win second place. Won the second place in the PNG, Philippine National Games.
Okay, so
Okay. Yeah.
I can imagine with Manahan being very used to doing Arnis, what was her initial reaction when you asked her if she wanted to try race walking?
Just because she wanted to pursue her college education, so there's no choice.
Okay.
So she felt she'd give it a try.
Okay, so
yes,
so it's my turn, buddy. So Coach Ty, tanong lang para sa ating mga kasama online.
Yeah.
Nung natapos ang career mo sa sa race walking, ano yung nag-motivate sa iyo una? Sabi mo ngayon kinoach mo nga si Melinda Manahan, pero sa ngayon sa tingin mo ano pa yung yung tatlong bagay kung meron man na sa tingin mo yung importanteng bagay na pinakamasayang mo nag-coach ka?
Hindi ko maintindihan. Pakiulit. Please repeat.
Sabi ko, Coach, ulitin ko. Ang tanong ko, magbigay ka ng at least dalawang bagay na bright moments mo bilang coach aside dun sa binanggit mo kay Melinda Manahan. Ano pa sa tingin mo yung nakapagpapit sa'yo bilang coach? Yun. Yung hindi mo malilimutang experience. Yeah.
Oo. Siyempre, mga bata, mga athlete, hindi kasi ako namimili ng mga athlete eh. Inaano ko lang sila kung anong pinaka nila gusto nilang mangyari sa buhay nila eh. I just motivate them, and then if they want to pursue walking, then I will guide them properly. If they want to do sprinting or what event they want to do, so at my capacity, my own knowledge or my own expertise, I will guide them. So as a coach, my expertise were middle distance and long distance and race walking. So that's my strength. So it works.
Mhm.
So most of my athletes excel in their chosen event, whether
Mhm.
jumps, sprints,
Okay.
long distance or middle distance, or even throw. So when I coach in international school in ISM, International School Manila, I
Mhm.
was coaching jumps and sometimes throw
Mhm.
and sometimes sprint. So and my athlete broke record.
Okay. Yes. Mhm.
Yeah, until
Mhm.
now, my record there is
Okay.
still
Mhm.
intact. So
Mhm.
when I coach young athletes, especially Manahan and Embuedo, they started breaking records.
Okay. Yes. Nice one, Coach Titus. Okay. So Andrew, your turn.
Okay, so yeah, I just want to highlight, that Coach Titus coached both record holders Michael Imbuedo and Melinda Manahan Dallas Reyes now. And he's also worked with several UAP champions.
Yeah.
I want to just touch base with some of the grassroots advocacies and grassroots initiatives that Titus does. Firstly, a few years ago, working with Phil Am athlete Isang Smith
Mhm.
regarding shoes and like helping athletes in the province. If you could tell us a little bit more about that, Coach, your advocacies that you have throughout the district.
Daan mo. What's your question?
Sorry, I just said I was just highlighting
Yeah.
that not only are you coaching walks, but you have several provincial advocacies in place, like shoe collection. I
Yeah.
remember a few years ago you worked with Philam athlete Isang Smith, getting shoes for athletes and like helping support provincial athletes. Could you just tell us a bit more about that initiative and some of the provincial projects that you've done?
Yeah, that's a motivation to lure athletes, especially those in those athletes who cannot afford to buy shoes. So because of my friends, they donated their pre-lab shoes, and also a charity from Australia helped us to
Mhm.
donate shoes.
Mhm.
So those kids,
Yeah, it's great. I mean, because a lot of kids in provinces, a lot of them can't get shoes, so it's really appreciated how
yeah,
you've used your network and connections to provide that opportunity for kids to be able to run in a pair of rubber shoes, which usually like they wouldn't otherwise be able to afford. Um, the other thing I want to highlight is that Coach Titus, like a lot of people know him as that smiley coach who's at Ultra Phil Sports or
Yeah.
at RM, Rizal Memorial, who gives a lot of time to helping develop inner city kids. I mean, you know, like thousands of schools in Manila. You know, like he's giving the opportunity to kids from places like Pasig and Makati that don't really have school programs in place, the opportunity to like get sample and develop a love for the sport of athletics. Yeah, so like that's something else that that you know coach is doing really well. And so coach, how many athletes are you currently working with? I mean, obviously it's COVID, so it's a bit hard to say, but
They
you
are
know,
growing
like
now.
before,
They are growing now in number, but due to pandemic, so we stopped training. So before pandemic, we're almost 100. Yeah, 100.
Yep.
From elementary to
kids,
elementary to college.
And all these kids are from Manila, like all of them are from
mostly
Manila, right?
from Manila.
So which parts of Manila do they come from besides?
Mostly Pasig City. Pasig City and
City.
Different part of Metro Manila. As far as Muntinlupa, Malabon, and part of Bulacan, Laguna.
And that is far, Bulacan or Laguna. So the ones that are coming from Bulacan or Laguna to train with you, how many times a week are they traveling from Bulacan or Laguna to join your training sessions?
Yeah, they join us in Ultra, and also the Laguna girl, Wangkai. She did well.
Okay.
Because
so
her parents, her mother, entrusted to me her training. So she actually gold medalist in Palarong Pambansa and Philippine National Games.
Yep. Oh, okay. That is the daughter of John Aganilza, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Jan Wanki.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
See who drew the relays. Yep. Okay. So, so obviously a lot of talent. You know, there's a lot of talent in the Philippines for the walks, and I often see the walks as an event which is, you know, it's often sidelined, and you know it does have great potential. The event itself has great potential because comparatively with studies, if we look at the countries in the world that you know that have produced Olympic champions, there's a great variation. Like even Ecuador produced its only gold medal in the walks, and genetically, you know, Ecuadorians are not really physical specimens. So it's, you know, in a lot of events like sprints, and you know, West Africans dominate sprints a lot, and the East Africans dominate long distance a lot, and you know, other events are like there's genetic advantages in certain events, but in the walks, it's like it's almost anyone's game. Especially at the global stage. So I understand that, you know, the walks, it's been a while since, you know, we've been represented in the Southeast Asian Games by walkathoners. I mean, by my calculations, I think it must have been Melinda Manahan back in 2005 perhaps, or am I mistaken and there's been a more recent entry in the walks? So in 14, 15 years there's been no entry in the SEA Games in the walks. What do you see in regards to the future of the event in terms of development for our athletes in the walks?
At present, we have a lot of talents, especially those athletes who came from me. There's Alana Halagenia, Wangkai, and And those newcomers, they are good. They are good.
Yeah.
There's
Mm.
Maki Stoya
Yeah.
and also Carlos Demos. They're good. They're,
Okay.
they're,
Well,
they are the future of race walking. And
and,
the problem is with the federation.
Yeah.
They are not in support or in support of how to improve or how to develop. That's not their priority.
okay. With
That's
walks,
the main problem today. Unlike before, that there's balance in development. They give opportunity for walk and other event. But now, I don't know what's happening now. They only concentrated on very few under their lab event, and they are not trying race walking. If I was given a chance to develop an athlete, I know how to. I am a Russian trained, American trained, and I am a Chinese trained. I went to China. I trained with Olympic champion there. We stayed there and we ate together with a champion athlete in China. So I know how to train the way the Chinese train.
Yeah.
So if given the chance to coach a national team, within a span of 6 months, I can develop a SEA Games medalist.
Okay.
I am very, very confident that within 6 months, I can develop a SEA Games gold medalist or maybe not a gold medalist, but medalist. SEA Games medalist.
Coach, in regards to the pathway or the pathways or the lead into this level where we start winning medals at the SEA Games and the walks, I want to highlight something, a few points. The first one is I feel that at the at the international age grade competitions, we need to be better represented in the walks. A start or light at the end of the tunnel was when they had the ASEAN School Games, and walkathoners started to be sent to the ASEAN School Games, and they did pretty well. I mean, I'm not sure if they won medals, but they improved their best times when they went to the ASEAN School Games.
Maybe.
So I believe that the pathway to when they're younger athletes, when they're juniors, they need to have more exposures, more international competitions at that age. I was.
There's a lot of competition. There's a lot of competition in the Asian level. There's competition in Japan. There's competition in China. So we need to expose them in Hong Kong. There's a competition in Hong Kong.
Well, Coach, as I mentioned to you before, I was in consultations with the Visayas, one of the Visayas leaders in sports, Noni Lopez, regarding events that for like Asian age grade meets and that we should be looking at, and we did come up with the walks as a area in which there is a lot of room for growth in the walkathon events. But I did point out that it's very important for events like walks that these athletes get good competitions when they're young. Like they get some international exposures. So then they build their race experience. I mean, the reason why I say walks is because all the other events have really had more opportunities to do that, and we don't know how it could go with the walks because they compete in grade competitions. Eventually,
I think there's a background noise, Coach Titus.
Yeah.
grade comp, they eventually will, you know, that will event later on.
Nawawala.
Yeah, okay, continue. Go ahead, go ahead.
Hi.
Yes, go on, Coach, go ahead, go ahead.
I just want to reiterate that we have a lot of young talent today. They are very determined. They are determined, especially Alana and her mother, Juno. And they want to support her financially. They want to expose her into competing abroad, even sending her to US. And I appreciate the intention of her mother and Alana's willingness to train and to pursue the career of race walking. And the problem is the National Federation. Whoever from the Patapas listening now, sino man sa mga taga-Patapa, may nakikinig ba mga taga-Patapa dito?
Naka-live tayo sa buong mundo. I don't know kung nakikinig sila, pero nakikinig tayo sa man sa mundo.
Hamunin ko si Mr. Huwico. Mr. Huwico, maraming beses na akong nagpadala sa iyo ng sulat. Many times, I sent you letter, my willingness to train athlete in Patapa with pay or without pay, may bayad man o wala. Willing akong mag-sacrifice. Willing akong gawin ang coaching ko. Willing akong mag-volunteer. Taos puso kong ibalik yung talent ko para na sa ganoon magkaroon tayo ng mga magagaling na mga atleta. Pero kailangan din kasi accept nyo rin kasi yung o bigyan nyo rin ng pagkakataon sila. Yung problema kasi ganoon hindi sila nabibigyan, parang nangyayari patuloy, kalaban kayo kalaban yung federation yung napipil ng mga atleta hindi nyo sila binibigyan ng ng kalinga o care man lang. So dapat as their early age or they're young or hindi man young yan, matatanda man yan, wala dapat na discrimination or kahit sabi mo ay matanda na yan o ano na yan, gano'n na yan. So hindi dapat gano'n ang approach. Kung nagbi-break ng record yan, sige lang, nagbi-break ng record Kung gusto niya mag-training, sige lang, gusto niya mag-training. So, ganoon dapat ang approach natin. Sports for all. Walang tinatawag na discrimination dito. Matanda man yan, o bata man yan, o may talent man yan, o wala. Dapat lahat-lahat yan, binibigyan natin sila ng chance, binibigyan natin sila ng opportunity. O di natin sila discriminate. Kasi ang sports, yan lang ang lingwahe o ang language na nagkakaintindihan tayo. Whether o ano man yan, jumps man yan, throw man yan, o sprint man yan, o ano man yan, basta athletics. Ano natin, support natin yan at i-allocate natin yung maximum. I-maximize natin, magkaroon ng maraming talents. Nang sa ganun, magka-create tayo ng talagang ng kultura ng athletics. So, yun naman talaga ang ng IAAF magkaroon tayo ng tinatawag na athletic culture. Yun nga lang, hindi nagagawa Wala tayong ganung wala tayong ganung programa. Hinahayaan natin yung kung ano ang mangyayari o anong kahinatnan ng ating ng ating sports Dapat dapat kumbaga hindi pera-pera o hindi magkano ang dito Kumbaga bigyan natin ng pagkakataon lahat. Hindi lang tayo nakapokus sa dito, kung sino ang magagaling dito, kundi i-develop natin yung grassroots. I-develop natin yung Pilipinong mga kabataang Pilipino. Mayaman man yan o hindi man mayaman, basta interesado ang bata.
Exactly.
Okay. I-encourage natin sila. Involve natin silang lahat. At pipiliin natin ngayon, mapipili natin ngayon kapag nagkaroon tayo ng competition, kung sino nag-i-excel. So lahat ng nag-i-excel, bigyan natin sila ng chance. No? Hindi man niya mag-break ng record o mahina man yung time nila niyan, bigyan pa rin natin sila ng chance na ma-train sila, na ma-develop sila kasi hindi naman ang natin dito yung tinatawag na luto na talent kundi raw talent pa rin no? Kailangan marunong tayong mag-develop marunong tayong mag-coach marunong tayong mag-develop ng atleta, hindi marunong mag-develop ng atleta, yun pa rin ang nandiyan pa rin sila. Diba? Dapat ang coaching dapat free for all dapat. Kung sino nakaka-develop o kung sino mga atlet ang nag-excel, dapat yan bigyan ng chance, no? So yan ang masasabi ko na himutok ko dito. Ako talaga mayado ako sa nangyayari. Kasi hindi patas ang labanan Nag-gets ba?
Coach. Naintindihan namin, Coach, yung inyong saloobin.
Basta ako willing akong i-share yung nalalaman ko. I-share yung binigay sa akin ng Diyos sa talento na kumbaga kung paano ako nagsimula, kung paano ako isang bata noon na walang-wala din, na sa katayuan ko ngayon. Narating ko ngayon kung sino ngayon ako. Marami mga naabot din ako na karangalan. So, mga naabot din ako na kaalaman, marami akong kaalaman na nakuha during my journey at gusto kong i-share yan, gusto kong ibalik yan sa community natin. Gusto kong mag-develop tayo. Kasi nakasalamuha ko yung mga galing sa buong mundo Nakasalamuha ko sila Nakapag-compete ako sa World Championship. Nakapag-compete ako sa World Cup. Alam ko kung ano nangyari sa World Cup. So, nag-training ako sa China. Yung mga training ko sa China, mga Olympic gold medalist. Yung babae na nanalo sa Australia, sa Australian Olympic, ka-training ko sa China yun. So, walang sikreto dyan. Kung kumbaga, Mexican nag-excel sila. Bakit? Hindi ba natin kayang mag-excel din dyan? Kaya din natin. Alam ko, mas magagaling yung mga Pilipino Yun nga lang, hindi lang nabibigyan ng tsansa.
Okay, Coach. Salamat sa iyong
Bigyan tayo ng development. Bigyan ng pagkakataon, makakarating tayo dyan. Kaya natin marating yan nagagawa rin nga ng natin ng grassroots natin Bakit si AJ Obiena bakit nagkakarating siya nagko-qualify siya ang una ng Pilipinas kapag qualify sa Olympic Kaya din yan. Bakit di ba kaya natin? Kaya natin yan. Yun nga lang, kailangan bigyan natin ng makakataon lahat-lahat. At simulan natin sa bata. No? Bata pa dapat i-train na natin. Hindi yung late ng development. Wala na yun mag-aasawa na yan, maghahanap na ng hanap buhay yan. Hindi niya mag-athletics Dapat bata pa lang, binibigyan na ng pagkakataon matrain ng tama. No? Para pagdating ng college, world class na siya. Hindi yung college pa lang tsaka natin
okay.
Basta late na yun. Late na yun. So
Coach,
tayo dapat focus sa mga bata. Yung ginagawa ko ba? Yung ginagawa ko, mga bata as young as 7 years old, 5 years old, titrain ko yung anak ko nga simulan ko tinraining siya. 3 years old, tinrain ko na siya So, ganun dapat. Saka natin, i-encourage natin yung mga parents, yung mga magulang na i-involve yung mga bata sa athletics. Kita mo to, dapat mag-focus dapat tayo dito. Kita nyo to? Yan. I
agree with you on that.
mag-focus sa kids athletics. Ayan, no? Champion yung mga bata ko sa kids athletics. Kaso wala eh.
I agree with you on that, Coach Titus, because
Coach Titus, saglit lang. Sige, i-wrap up ko lang yung sa inyo. Tama yung mga ilang binanggit natin, kaya nga natin ginawa yung forum na to para may parinig din sa ating mga taga-subaybay ang loobin bilang coach. Tapos sana sa anghop lang mga sinasabi, kaya naman nandito tayo sa Athletics. Katulad ng binabanggit lagi namin dito na kami ay nagsusumikap na mapataas ang kultura ng athletics sa abot ng aming makakaya at sa aming maliit na gampanan. Bilang ako, bilang sport coordinator at coach, at the same time ay nag-aaral dito. Pero at saka si Andrew, coach ng Athletics Australia, palagi naming binubukas ang aming tanggapan, ang aming mga pintuan sa ating mga taga-subaybay at sa ating
mabuhay kayo, mabuhay!
Policy makers.
Mabuhay si Ernel!
Alam mo naman yung pinagdaanan natin.
Si Buddy Perry, mabuhay kayo dyan!
Kaya sana kung as we times, Coach Titus, our doors are widely open for any collaboration, for any discussions, especially with our policy makers. Kami lang ang naghihintay. So kung meron man silang ibang dynamic na sinusunod ngayon, we understand them. But for now, at least nalaman ng ating mga tagapakinig kung ano ang ating salubin. Coach, naka-background ng matakas yung yung voice yata dun sa Kung sino man po yung naka-background yan. Okay, Andrew, your turn, Andrew.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I agree with Coach Titus in essence where he says that, we have this misconception regarding, like people's understanding of early age specialization. I mean, look, for example, EJ Obiena, perfect example. He started, I've known the guy since he was really young. I mean, he started, playing around and trying pole vault when he was 6 years old. So, the fact is that sometimes when athletes specialize a little bit early, they don't do too well, but not all the time. That's one of the misconceptions we have with early age specialization.
This offer is not available in any store anywhere.
Coach, medyo I think malakas yung background noise ng TV nyo dyan sa likod, naririnig.
Oo nga eh. Makyat na ako rito sa taas.
Okay. Sige, Andrew, okay.
Like in Australia, when we did the level 3,
umuulan kasi dito eh. It's raining here.
Okay lang. Continue.
Ay.
Yes, so continue lang. Okay lang, ongoing pa tayo, live pa tayo. Coach, nandiyan ka pa? Sige.
Yes.
Okay, so continue tayo. Okay, so I think na-off lang na konti si Andrew, babalik yun. So ilang pang mga bagay na pwede natin mapag-usapan. So sa kabila ng mga nangyari ngayon, pandemic tayo ngayon. Okay, Andrew, your turn. Sige. Andrew,
what I was going to say was when I did the level 3 sprints course for Athletics Australia, my lecturer, he's actually like one of the top middle distance coaches in Australia. He said to me that when we discussed the topic of early age specialization, in Australia, the problem is more that the kids are playing too many different sports, that they're not actually taking into consideration the rest and recovery element of training. So he said that, with kids doing other sports, it may be if they're doing 2 or 3 other sports, it's okay, but not as long as they're not doing like say 5, 6, 7, 8 or 10 other sports. Like there is such as this thing as overdoing it when it comes to, doing like a variety of sports, because like let's say for example basketball's on one day and basketball's on one day, rugby's on the other day, and then the athletics, so you don't have any time to rest if you're doing too many different sports. So that's what basically the coach said, that in Australia the issue is that they're doing too many different sports. But what I'm saying is the misconception of early age specialization is that some kids burn out from early age specialization, some don't. It's just basically, it can depend on a lot of factors. But just to class things as, like the perception of early age specialization, it's totally wrong if it's just like, it's not a black and white sort of topic. It's sort of like there's a lot of variables, a lot of factors involved in, what is good and bad about early age specialization. It's not really a yes/no thing. There are a lot of other factors. That's why I agree with Coach Titus in regards to training athletes for the walks. If they're learning skills at a younger age, then I honestly don't see anything wrong with it, because in particular events like that, it's not really, that much stress on the body for that particular event.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway,
anything? Like with the example of EJ, he was 6 and he was doing pole vault, and he was 14 and 12 or 13. He was doing pole vault. He was doing hurdles a bit, but he loved pole vault. So, he always, he did other events as well. But I don't think he played any other sports. But he did hurdles and other events, and he mainly did pole vault because he loved pole vault. And at the end of the day, that's what, with kids, that's the important thing, is that if they want to really specialize in something, they really love doing it, then I don't see, really how you can stop them from wanting to do that.
It's good.
Same with the walks. I mean, if Coach Titus finds kids and they really love to do walks, then let them walk, because that's what they want to do.
Yeah. Correct.
I mean, if you find kids who are passionate about a particular event and they love doing the event, as long as, they're guided well. And, I know in Coach Titus's hands, they're in very, caring, capable program. So, I mean, it's like, yeah, I think that he has the right idea.
Yes. Okay. So, anything else, Coach Titus?
The problem in the Philippines here, because of the pandemic, na-stop lahat eh. Wala nang training eh. So yung mga bata, hindi pwede silang lumabas.
Are your athletes doing home workouts, or have you modified training a bit? Because, for example, I'll share some ideas with some athletes I have in my group. They're not able to train because obviously all the track ovals are closed.
Yeah.
But even if they can't get out on the road, I've been giving middle distance runner I've been working with, I've been letting him ride. He's got an exercycle at home. So he just uses the exercycle. So we just modified the workout, so he's still not losing his fitness levels, but at the same time, we're just working with what we can do at the moment in terms of what the athletes have available. I mean, I'm not sure in some of the province if they can run in subdivisions or on roads, but in Manila, yeah, it's a bit more. The pandemic is a little bit more sort of like. Crucial at this point, so
yes, I understand. Yes. Okay. Anything else, Andrew? So that again, final message, Coach Titus, or ilang mensahe pa?
Just one thing, Ernell. We still have questions from Valdez, and we might have some other questions for Coach Titus before.
Yes. Okay. By the way, we will shout out first our friends sa Facebook who joined us. Okay, shout out lang natin. Of course, Alana, Coach, the one and only Coach Arvin Loberanis of University of San Carlos, Cebu City. Olympian coach Henry Dagmil also joined us. Vincent James Camu, Renato Bora Jr. of Al City, South Cotabato, Maria Mirasol Sunga from Apalit, Pampanga, and Charlie Hilfarba of Brokenshire, RMC, and Assumption, tatlo ang kinukot niya from Davao City. Yan. So, one thing is also our partners on Zoom, Coach Anthony Valdez, Jeff Chua, Oliver Biang, Miko Lihuki. Okay, so Coach Anthony Valdez, may tanong siya sa iyo, Coach Titus. Walkathon is one special event in athletics. As one of the best coach in this event, what are the special techniques or training you give to your athletes to be a best race walk athlete? Yeah.
Number one is loving the sports. So loving the sports, having technical know-how with the event, especially the technical aspect of race walking. So it's always stick with the rules, stick with the definition. The definition is bend knee and lost contact. So if you're walking with bent knee, you will be cautioned. If you're walking with lost contact, let's say just like you're doing jogging or running, you will be cautioned. So in every breaking of the rules, you will be cautioned. So when it's a caution, it's not a disqualification. It's not say that you're out of the competition. So judges will show you caution for bent knee, caution for loss of contact or lifting. So the coach or those who are interested to take the sports of race walking, you should know the basic rules. You should know the rules, because in walkathon there's rules that govern the competition. There are only two: bent knee and lost contact. Okay. So if they love walking, so that's it. It's an Olympic sports. It's an organized sport. So do it with all your heart. Do it with all your with all your might.
Yeah.
I have another
Okay.
question.
So that's it lang. That's it lang, Mr. Valdez, no? Ano lang, observe nyo lang yung bent knee and lost contact. Kasi pag lost contact kasi, yung three judges na mag-vote out sa iyo na bibigyan kanila ng tinatawag na DQ. Pag DQ ka ng three judges, out ka na sa competition. Pero may bagong rules ngayon, no? May bagong rules ngayon na hindi ka disqualified, no? Pag nagkaroon ka ng 3 ngayon, kundi ka lang, ipi-freeze ka lang for 30 or for 2 minutes, no? Ipi-freeze ka lang for 2 minutes, and then after that 2 minutes period na sa tatawag na na penalty ka, na penalize ka, then pwede ka mag-continue, no? Pwede ka mag-continue, pero 2 minutes ka na wala sa iyo. So kailangan kasi i-train yung bata ng tama at the beginning. So technique will come first with rules and regulation, with definition o tinatawag na implemented rules there, no? Kailangan kasi alam natin kung anong rules ng bawat competition So doon natin ngayon i-develop yung technique, no? Pag alam na natin yung rules, so develop your technique. Madali naman ang technique na yan kapag alam mo yung competition rules nade-develop naman yan ng bata. So, continuous doing it until such time na namamaster na niya yung namamaster na ng bata yung movements, namamaster na niya yung paano lumakad ng mabilis na naaayon doon sa sinasaad ng definition ng race walking. No? So ganun lang naman 'yun eh. Bawat event naman may kanya-kanyang rules and regulation yan, may mga rules yan eh. So, dapat alamin natin yung mga rules ng bawat event.
Okay, yeah. Okay, I hope that's I hope we answer your questions, Coach Anthony. Yes, buddy, sorry.
I think Miko Lehuki put his hand up. I'm wondering if he wants to ask
Miko
a question.
Lehuki, do you have any question?
Hi, Miko!
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, you can type if you don't want to speak. Miko, you type your question in the chat box. If not, then you can answer by voice your question.
Miko is one of my grassroots, but he's now in UST. Huh?
Yes.
Oste.
To add,
Go, Oste!
Okay. Yes. While waiting, others pa. So, other words pa. Again, shout out ko lang uli ang ating mga kasama, Coach Charlie, Mirasol, Vincent, Renato, Henry, Arvin, and Alana. And we're thankful, by the way, full house si Alana sa ating broadcast.
Hi, Alana!
Buong nanonood sa atin, live tayo. Yan. Actually, ito i-announce natin. Yes. Okay. Quickly ask some question. Okay. So I would like to ask if there will be a future in race walking, specifically a specialized competition. So, of course, Andrew or Coach Titus,
yes.
I want to add like an example of what the Singaporeans are already doing with their race walking. So obviously I have a look at what the other Southeast Asian countries are doing first initially, because they're the closest to us in terms of similarity. But what the Singaporeans do is they're frequently having road race walking competitions, and for example, when they have their the equivalent of the Milo or the fun runs or whatever, they are incorporating race walking into the program. So not only is race walking, not only do race walkers have competitions in Singapore, but they also, like, race walking is actually being made, it's been given some exposure to the general public as an event which they can try out to keep fit. So the Singaporeans have incorporated race walking into their road running programs already as part of the road running program. So, for example, they'll have a 21K, they'll have a 10K, they'll have they might have I don't know if they have a marathon, not all the time.
Yeah.
They might have a 5K run. They might have a 5K or a 3K or a 10K road walk, road race walk to go with that as well. So, like, that's a suggestion. I'm not sure if it'll be picked up, but like that's one way to do it, because at track meets, it doesn't seem that they're able to fit them in. But like in road racing, like we have a lot of road racing in the Philippines. I don't see why we couldn't put road walks in.
Yes, I believe it's a matter of introducing more race walk in other events that aside from the usual staple meets that we have here in the Philippines, As you went to Blue Knights during our season 4, we are thankful that you joined us. Is it season 3 or season 4 yon? That we always make sure that we at least include 2,000-meter walk so that athletes can still have a chance to train and also to be exposed in their respective meets. And I believe that's also the thing that we should always also consider, to build more events. Let our coaches and our sport coordinators learn the skill of organizing. Kasi coaching is not only teaching the skills, it involves also how you manage yourself, your team, and also the the systems that you need to do. Kasi hindi pwedeng ang ituturo mo na skill tapos maituturo mong skill pero lang yung exposure ng atleta mo. So saan pupulutin yung atleta mo? I think yun yung dapat ano nating mindset, mga kaibigan. Magte-train tayo para sa development, hindi para mag-champion ka. Kasi proseso yan eh. And of course, living example si Coach Titus ng konsepto ng proseso at ng pag-achieve ng excellence. Hindi winning. Yung ma-achieve mo, yung pinakamahusay at pinaka-the best mo. Kasi yun yung dapat, sabi mo nga Coach Titus kanina, kailangan kasi malinaw sa atin kung ano yung gusto nating marating. Of course, kaya nga namin pinaparating sa Pinoy Athletics na dapat ay bigyan natin ng pagkakataon ang lahat na makapagbahagi ng kanilang nalalaman, kaisipan, pananaw at magkaroon tayo ng mahusay na pagpapalitan ng mainam na mga bagay-bagay tungkol sa kung anong pinakamainam sa athletics sa Pilipinas. Kaya nga habang tayo nandito ngayon at nag-aaral at nagkakaroon tayo ng pagkakataong makasalamuha ang iba't ibang mga coaches ng athletics, lalo ng race walk, ay sana tapos ang pandemya, sabi ko nga sa ating mga kaibigan, kung sino man ang willing dumayo rito sa Europa, ay willing nating samahan. Of course, kailan mamasahe. Pero willing namin ng aking makakaya sa aking private at personal na capacity.
Diyan sa Europe, very popular ang walking dyan, race walking.
Oo. At actually, Coach, ito, masasabihin ko sa ating mga taga-subaybay, sa 2021 or sa mga susunod na season, yung isa sa malaking race walking competition sa Czech Republic ay nakausap na natin. Sabi nila, anytime kapag ready na tayong sumali, ay sabihin lamang, hindi lang ngayon sa taong ito at sa susunod na taon, because it's preparing for the European race walk. Ito, papakita ko yung
nakasali ako diyan sa Podibrady.
Sa Podibrady, di ba? Yan.
Diyan sa Czech Republic, sa Podibrady, nakasali ako diyan.
Ayan, ito ang sinasabi niya na sa year 2021 ay hindi posible pa dahil may European Championship, so yun ang kanilang priority. Pero sa mga ibang mga events, sasabihan tayo ng mga organizer ng Podibrady sa Czech Republic kung saan tayo pwedeng sumali. Kaya nga, yun ang sinasabi natin mga kaibigan na mamuhunan tayo. Hindi lamang mamuhunan muna tayo. Hindi pwede yung mag-expect kang aani ka ng malaki pero hindi ka naman namumuhunan. Tapos ayaw mong mamuhunan dun sa mga ibang bagay. That's what Andrew is saying. You're putting all eggs in one basket. You're always saying that, buddy. It's a matter of how many baskets that you're having so that the chances of hatching and also at the same time producing more yield is better.
Yes.
So yun yung ang gusto nating masabi mga kaibigan na we should always try to put on kasi natin of course I'm not saying that the usual meets Palaro, UAAP, NCAA and National Open are okay, no doubt on that. They are institutions, but I'm saying is if we build more events, if we build more communities, if we build more excellently organized events, then we will find something. Kaya yun yung ginagawa namin. I hope na marinig din to ng ating mga tournament managers. Then Titus, itong gusto kong although pardon me kung sabihin ko to, sana sa mga susunod na event, gawin nila na hapon o gabi ang main event. Kasi tingin mo coach, bakit gawing dapat hapon or gabi? Ikaw tatanungin ko muna.
Para maraming manonood.
Yon, unang-una, dapat maraming manonood. Sinong manonood ng alas 6 ng umaga, di ba? Atleta lamang. So sana sa susunod na palaro, makonsider nila yan, especially kung may ilaw stadium. Ang nangyari kasi, unfortunately, napupuntang ibang resources natin sa pagpapaganda, pero yung mismong management, dapat doon natin tutukan. Yun yung sana natin. Kaya nga nung kami pumunta sa Tagum, nung before ng year kayo pumunta sa amin sa Davao, talagang pinag-usapan namin ang Davao del Norte, and they're generous enough to do of the 100 and the 200 of the Blue Knights Track League October 2016 at 8 p.m.
Twilight night.
Yes. Yeah. And also when we did the Blue Knights in Coronadal in October 2018, same thing as well. 100, 200. In Tubod, the same thing as well. I always
Well, that's-
ask the governor if we or the mayor if we can use the stadium or the sports complex at night time. And I'm glad kasi bakit kailangan sir, kailangan po namin para maraming manonood kasi presko na po kapag gabi. Hindi na
Yes, correct.
It makes sense because everybody works during the day, so like they're able to attend the athletic meet after they finish work. So it makes sense. I think the UAP did that as well at one point. It's a good idea in order to get more people to come watch the event.
I hope they consider that because the day they are paid for the whole day. So I don't know the reason why some of our organizers always want to insist. Ito humble opinion ko, pardon me, na bakit laging nagmamadaling tapusin? Dahil sa I hope na since ikaw may connection ka sa ating mga tournament managers, Coach Taito, sabihin natin yan na gawin naman nating marangal yung ating laro. Nagka-clamor tayo na kasi ganto ganyan ito opinion ko lang, nakakasawa na lagi na lamang niro-romanticize yung kahirapan at yung pagpap ng atleta. Hindi mo naman, ikaw bilang tournament manager, hindi mo naman binibigay yung pinakamahusay at yung pinakamagandang pag-oorganisa. And I hope makita nila yan. Unang-unang factor, yun sana maging challenge natin. Kung sino man tournament manager, I'm sure kilala mo siya, ang ating tournament manager, na gawin nilang hapon. May ilaw naman ang stadium, hindi naman, di ba? Yun. So Andrew, that's only what I'm saying. Excellence in everything that we do, whether in training, coaching, culture, and of course, the systems, ladies and gentlemen. Hindi na ako magbabanggit because again, as we mentioned in Pinoy Athletics, we always open our doors for collaboration. Ang binabanggit yan most of the time. Andrew?
I agree with all that. What I was getting to the point was, the thought just came to my mind that, like walks is kind of like an outlying event in athletics. It's sort of like pole vault, because pole vault probably shares the same kind of status as walks. It's not really an event that everybody does. But what did pole vault do to promote itself? I mean, they started having pole vault competitions in malls and that sort of, and in other places. And I think that a good
in
model.
Zurich, they have it in the train station.
Yeah, exactly. Like they bought the event to the people instead of expecting the people to come to the event. They bought the event to the people. And, I think in walks as well, if they can somehow bring the walks into the road running programs, it will be of great benefit to finding new talent for that event. And also, like giving race walkers more opportunities to register the qualifying times for meets, especially if these road running events, if the courses are going to be certified, then they may as well just certify the walk distances as well. So that way, it gives the athletes more competitions, more exposures, and more chances to qualify for international meets.
That's true.
That would be the easiest way to do it, because sometimes it's really difficult to fit a 20-kilometer race walk into a one-day athletic program. Say, for example, the weekly relays. That's a one-day program, so it's very hard to fit a 10 or a 20-kilometer race walk due to the amount of time it takes, and considering the weekly relays is only a 4-hour program to be able to fit that in. But what I'm saying is what would be more feasible, of course, you can have walks at nationals and UAAP and other events, but what I'm saying is in order to have more frequent race walk competitions, they would have to be brought into road racing, because in weekly relays, you can't have a 20 or a 10K race walk because there's not enough time in the program for it to come about. I mean, in the weekly relays, they have a 3 or a 5K race walk, but 3 or 5K in the SEA Games, it's 10 or 20 kilometer race walk. So you have to run a 10 or a 20 kilometer race walk to qualify for the SEA Games in the 10 or the 20 kilometers. But if it's on a road and it's measured, certified measured, then I'm sure that would be, for a qualifying standard, that would be the right conditions. As long as the course is certified by somebody who's I don't know, IAA have accredited.
Mm.
Yep. So that's all I got.
Yeah. Anyway, so
I think once we're done, I'll just end with the, you know how I did that PowerPoint at the start, like with the update. So we can just end with that. Perhaps. Unless there's more questions. If there's more questions, then fire away.
yeah, so any other questions? Okay, so I think we will wrap up this for now, and then we can present. And then we would like to thank everyone who joined us on Zoom and Facebook Live for our chat. Okay, shout out Juliet Habayo, Sailor Moon Arnaiz, Charlie Hill Farba, Mirasol, Vincent James Camu, Renato Bora Jr., Henry Dagmil, Arvin Loberanis, and Alana Halagueña, and family. So are joining us. So we hope that we stay in touch and then stay safe. And final words, Andrew. And also, by the way, watch out for Thursday because we're still working. I already sent invitation to our pole vault record holder in women's, Natalie Uy, if she can be invited for a recorded interview anytime soon.
Awesome.
So
and then, also we have like coming up, I have the following people who are on the possible list at the moment. I have Hawi Fanea, the SEA Games duathlon gold medalist at the SEA Games, or silver, like duathlon medalist at the SEA Games. I have Rogelio Onofre, the Philippine record holder, former Philippine 100-meter record holder for 45 years, 1962 Asian Games silver medalist, and 4x1 gold medalist at 2 Asian Games. I have Coach Tony Benson, who may be joining us at some point. Yeah, so I've got these 3 coming up at this point. I haven't got exact dates. Ernell, at the end of this presentation, I mean, our guests, if they have, you know, if the guests in the room, if they need to be somewhere else, it's okay. After just keep the live and keep the Facebook Live and the recording going, because I'm just going to finish off this track talk, which has been, you know, nearly an hour and a half now. I'm going to finish it off with the updates, because actually in my updates it does have a little bit about Natalie Uy, which I think would be a good lead into for our next discussion.
Yeah, exactly. So we hope that more things to come for them, and then anything else.
Yeah, so just if any of the guests need to leave, it's fine at this point. But I'm just gonna do the. I'm just gonna finish off with the that presentation, like you know, those the PowerPoint slides, because that's just some updates, some weekly roundup sort of thing. It's only, I think it's about 4 or 5 slides.
Yeah. So yeah, that would be very interesting to know. Okay, yeah. So we wrap up this presentation, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us, and then see you next Thursday for another edition of the Track Talk here at Pinoy Athletics with me, Ernell Labara, a PhD student at the University of Physical Education, Hungary, and Andrew Perry, Level 3 coach of Australian Track and Field Coaches Association, your co-partners for Pinoy Athletics. Thank you, maraming salamat, at mabuhay po tayong lahat. Ingat po. God bless to everyone.
Yeah, so if people want to leave, it's cool.
Hello and good evening, and welcome to another edition of Pinoy Athletics Track Talk. It's actually nearly 11 o'clock here in Australia, Sydney. The 8 o'clock in the Philippines. It's a scorching hot summer at the moment. That's why I'm wearing a singlet. It's actually, you know, it got to 33, 34 degrees today, and currently it's still really hot here. It's still 24 degrees, which may not seem hot in the Philippines, but you know, that's scorching dry heat here with no humidity in Australia. All right, 7 viewers, cool. Yeah, so tonight we're mainly going to discuss some more results from the Vietnam Open, some open discussions that have been happening on our Facebook group, our Facebook page, our website, and also we're hoping to have a former national coach, Saturnino Titus Salazar, giving his input in regards to how race walking is going in the Philippines and what needs to be done, and some evaluations of some very good results from Vietnam and the 20-kilometer race walk earlier today. So initially I was covering on Tuesday, I covered the performances of Nia of Vietnam, who ran an official new national record of 10:40. And also Le Thu Chin, who ran 11.43 in the 100 at the Vietnamese Nationals. Initially, I was going to cover some more stuff on training and that sort of stuff, but like, you know, I've just maximized the use of time of these Vietnamese nationals because it's really pouring in the traffic and the viewership from our Vietnamese readers. And also we've started actually posting some web pages in Vietnamese, which, you know, like is increasing the traffic flow to the site. Okay, Coach Titus has arrived. I've just got him on wait at the moment, but we will greet him shortly. I'm just quickly going to go through some of this presentation. I'll just go onto the share screen. And then I will bring in Coach Titus. This is a little bit messy, this thing. Full screen. Share that one. Share that one. Okay. So welcome to Pinoy Athletics Track Thursday. Yeah, so now what I'm talking about is maximizing the use of traffic. So that now there's a major event on in Vietnam, which is the Vietnamese national trials for the SEA Games. There's no athletic events really going on at all in the Philippines. I mean, pretty much 2020 is a write-off. There have been really no athletic competitions at all, no performances. So now we need to maximize what's fresh and what's going on right now, which is the Vietnamese national trials, which is basically an opportunity for us to increase our Vietnamese viewership. So our objective this month is to go past our viewership record of 38,415 set 2 months ago in September. You know, I love these numbers. And we're trying to get to 40,000 visitors or more for 2020 by utilizing not just the Filipino athletic community, but other, you know, other athletic communities. You know, and we've been getting very good feedback from our Vietnamese visitors. You know, like we've been featuring and helping them out and driving traffic to them as well. And, you know, like it's been good, you know, like we've been getting so much positive feedback regarding promoting, you know, Southeast Asian athletics, not just like Philippine athletics, but keeping an open mind and letting the public know what's going on in the other Southeast Asian countries, you know, like as we're competing against these guys in the SEA Games. So far I've had 17,743 total visitors for the month. I need an average of 11:48 a day to exceed the previous record. I'm sitting on about 1,500, today. So the more I go over that average, the less work I'm going to have to do to, get over that record and hopefully get to that 40,000 mark. All right. So while he's here, we will introduce Coach Salazar. I'll just send a message. So we have 10 viewers at the moment, so it's all good. The momentum's growing for this evening. All right, so the first thing is I'll start off with the news that an ACT junior broke. This is yet another world age grade record. Firstly, it was Mia Galergan, the Tuolongo parents breaking the 11-year-old 5,000 meter world age grade record, and now Hayden Todd has clocked 2:25.70 in Australia. He's from Canberra. He broke the Australian and world best age marks for under 16,000 meters. This article, if you want to read more about it, it's up on Runners Tribe. So we didn't create our own article. We just basically are pushing traffic towards Runners Tribe. So it was a wet and windy day at the Woden Athletics track in Canberra. Todd erased almost half a century of history when he crossed the line at 1,000 meters in 2:25.70. Just 15 years of age, he'd taken down a record which had stood for 46 years, and doing so catapulted himself onto the world stage. He now stands as both the fastest under 16 in Australia and indeed world history. So there was, we might come back to this one later. So there was an argument, which is up on YouTube, between Senators Pecatano and Reza Ontiveros regarding the 9.5 billion spending on the Southeast Asian Games, with Pia on the defensive regarding the allocation of funds. I won't go into that too much because we've got a lot to cover, but that's available on YouTube if you want to watch the full-blown, 20-minute video. All right, now, Vietnamese Open updates. So I believe that this performance by Owen Nguyen of 4:13.88 in the women's 1,500 meters on the second day of the Vietnamese National Championships is the best performance by a female athlete at this meet so far. So she is the SEA Games champion in the 1,500, the 3,000 steeples, and the 5,000 meters at the last SEA Games. She's the only athlete, male or female, in athletics, as far as I know, in the last SEA Games to win 3 individual gold medals in the same SEA Games. So her time of 4:13.88 was 3.5 seconds faster than her time of 4:17.31 at the last SEA Games. It's 4 seconds off the Vietnamese record, which was set by Trong Thang Hung at the 2018 Asian Games in Guangzhou, where she collected the silver medal. The other two Vietnamese SEA Games bronze medalists, An took silver in 4:26.77, and Bui Thi Nguyen, the ASEAN School Games 2018 and 2019 champion, the 8 and 1.5, took 4:28.38, smashing her personal best of 4:33.62. Now, in retrospect, in the last couple of years, the Philippine local runners, they've been almost half a second off, that time of the SEA Games champion. So we're going to address further in a later segment, what the issue is with women's middle distance running in the Philippines, as there doesn't seem to be a huge load of progression in these events in terms of what the statistics are telling us over the last 3-5 years. It's been quite a downslide in terms of women's middle distance. Perhaps we'll even ask Coach Titus regarding, what he thinks about the situation of women's middle distance. Anyway, Nguyen Thi On, she's the SEA Games champion, the 15, 3 steeples and 5,000. She won the 5,000 on the first day in 16:58, which was the Southeast Asian leading time, but it's still 13 seconds slower than her SEA Games gold and 38 seconds slower than her PB. from 2018. She's also, so she's doing 3 events in this. So tomorrow, I believe she's doing the steeplechase. So she had a break because of the walks. Anyhow, moving on to the next slide. So yeah, so regarding the SEA Games, Letu Chin ran 11:43 on the first day in the 100. So she's got the 200 tomorrow or the next day. SEA Games champion in the 100 meters. It can be very difficult, challenge defending her title against Christina Knott, who was right behind her in the last SEA Games. Knott, of course, improving to 11:27. So Chin, if she's going to even be in contention, needs to really, get down into those 11:30s early next year in order to stay in the hunt to defend her title that she'd won for the last 2 SEA Games. And we did have a response in regards to Chin from one of the world's greatest track and field coaches, Lauren Seagrave. He said, a lovely and talented athlete with a very sharp and caring coach who herself was a top sprinter. Thanks for including the rotund photo, which meant he was slightly overweight in the photo of when I visited in Ho Chi Minh City. So yeah, Lauren Seagrave worked a lot with mentoring, the coach of Chin, Wang Nguyen. So not really taking the athlete, but like helping the coach improve and become a better coach. And we've been having some very interesting conversations on LinkedIn. It's good to see like a really top-notch coach like Lauren Seagrave, is a regular reader of our articles and posting some very, positive comments and feedback and very useful feedbacks that come from a wealth of knowledge, who's been coaching for the best part of 30, 40 years. And, he's been to about 50, 60, he's coached in 50, 60 different countries. He was coaching and he really was one of the driving forces behind leveling up Vietnamese athletics. And now he's currently working with Thailand. I just replied, yeah, I interviewed Chin and her coach a few months back. I had no idea if Wang was a top sprinter. What did she run? Short sprints or 400? And as I said, he played a huge role leveling up Vietnamese athletics and mentoring Wang. I asked if he worked with Ngoc Nia in the men's sprints as he just ran 10:40. And after this, actually, I would like to interview, and I've been talking with Nguyen and Wan, the girl I just featured before. I'd like to interview her after, these games, of course, which is something, that we'll be looking forward to. All right, so now I'll bring on Coach Titus. Coach, how are you?
Hi.
Hi, Coach.
I'm okay.
Yeah.
I'm safe here in Pasig.
Okay, I heard that there's a typhoon coming.
Yeah, it's passes already.
It's already started. So how is it?
Very strong rain, and it flooded all Metro Manila, and was hit by flood.
What about the area where you're in at the
Marikina.
moment? Marikina.
But at the moment, we are safe here in Pasig.
Cool. So, yeah, so how long is the typhoon expected to start, last for? Because, I mean, I've got athletes, about 10 athletes training over in the Philippines by correspondence, and a lot of them are having the day off because the typhoon is hitting other parts of the country as well, like Mindoro, for example. Like they had to have, some of the athletes I coach had to have a day off because of these typhoons. I believe this is the 3rd typhoon in the last month.
5th typhoon.
5th typhoon in the last month. So I was also
In a
reading
couple of 1 week.
I was also reading something before about precautions about exposure, because since Manila is so polluted, if it floods and you've got an open cut or a wound or something, and then the water sort of gets into the wound, then you need to go and get some medication or something, because the water's really polluted as well when it floods.
Yeah.
I can remember as a student when I used to live in Pasai, and we used to get lots of really bad flooding there, and I was in a two-storied house, a two-storied apartment, and what happened was I remember the ground floor just flooded, and like all my assignments and homework was sort of floating around like on top of wood on the ground floor because it just flooded. Honestly, it went up to the height of my waist on the ground floor, so I had to go upstairs, and the whole of the ground floor was flooded.
That's the situation here in Metro Manila.
Yeah, so like I guess you've got to watch out for things like leptospirosis and other things that other sort of harmful, diseases and bacteria that's floating around in that really dirty, flooded water, right?
Um, it's worse because there's a lot of rats.
Yeah, yeah. Anyhow, how's the coaching situation going with athletes there? Because I mean, because of COVID, obviously there's a lot of around COVID and
Yeah.
typhoon, a lot of restrictions in place.
Me and Alana were training around Capitolio and near Ultra, the Capitol Commons. So we
Yep.
didn't have any choice because most of the track oval here in CR are closed.
An athlete was talking to me the other day. They were asking for a training program, and they said to me they're going to go and train at UMAC. So I said, "Oh, all right." Like I said, "Have you already got permission to use UMAC?" And they said, "I'll go and see." And I said, "Well, good luck with that." So as sure as they weren't, their recommendation to use UMAC was not approved. So they, and I doubted it was going to be approved anyway, but like it was worth a try. I mean, I've got athletes training like that are able to use track ovals in the provinces. I have athletes that have to train on the road. Some are using dirt tracks. It really depends on the situation. And then some are just totally at home workouts where they can't even go outside to use the road because of the lockdown. So there's always this track ovals, training on road, and not being allowed to even go outside. So just having to do but a specific home workout which involves stuff that's going to be more specific for your event, not just a general, home workout, what some of these other people are giving, which is just basic public sort of stuff, which isn't really going to be specific for your event. I mean, there's a lot of that going on, a lot of that going around at the moment with regards to training. Anyhow, I'd like to know firstly, because I brought up my first topic was in regards to Vietnam, and like this is more on middle distance, but the girl from Vietnam, she just ran 4:13 in the 1500 meters. She's the SEA Games champion, and like our women in the Philippines, for the last 3 or 5 years, the middle distance has been a gradual decline, and like there's nobody I think who's been within 30 seconds of they're nearly 6 seconds behind 4:13 in the 1500. There's nobody running under 4:50.
Yeah, because of the system here in the Philippines. You know that athlete in in Palarong Pambansa,
Yeah.
when they got the year-round training, it's only once a year, and after winning the regional championship, no follow-up, no high-level training, no
I
selection.
think we could say that the athletes that have performed well in the Palarong Pambansa in the women's and the girls middle distance have been fortunate enough that when they went to the Polarong Pambanta, their coach that coached them personally was also the winning coach, so they were able to perform outstandingly at the Polarong Pambanta. But when we go past the Polarong Pambanta level, there's where the disconnect is. I mean, theoretically, a massive amount of the women or the girls are actually running slower in college than they ran when they were at high school, which is, you know, like to some extent, you can blame studies and, you know, like time management and, you know, other things to some extent, but it's the excuses are really being overused to the point where, you know, how come it's only the Philippines? We just lost connection there, but we should be back shortly with Coach Titus. In the meantime, I'll just cover some more slides that I was discussing. So we'll come back to the race walk stuff later because obviously, you know, like there will be more to discuss with Coach Titus. So yeah, so what I'm pointing out was with Coach Titus, and as part of our discussion, is the athletes having the right to choose their own coach, you know, like, which is at all levels really. But we did it, the discussion with regards to Vietnam did bring this up because in Vietnam, the athletes have more freedom over who they want to work with. Hence, you know, for example, Chin, who I brought up before, who's the SEA Games champion in the 100-meter dash, she's been with the same coach, Huang Nguyen, who happens to be a high school teacher, since she was 9 or 10 years old. The same coach has guided her. In fact, you know, Lawrence Seagrave came in and he helped Huang with Chin become a better coach, but at no stage did Lawrence say, oh, I'm the coach now, so you basically kind of like, thank you very much, but this is my athlete now. Nah, he helped the coach, even like, you know, they even accommodated Huang over at IMG in Florida so she could learn from them how to be a better coach and how to coach Chin better. Chin is pretty much, you know, like from my interview, is pretty much like, she's like pretty much like Chin's foster mum as well as her coach. So Chin's only ever been handled by the one coach, and she's led Chin from being a, you know, like a skinny 9 or 10-year-old kid to becoming a Southeast Asian Games champion. She's been, her athletics association has allowed her to be there from the start to the end. When Chin got into the national team, Hindina, like, Tapos, the coach, you know, like, they allowed Chin to continue training the athlete. Huang to continue training the athlete. Sorry, I'll just repeat what I said before, what I was just saying then, Coach. I was talking about the Vietnamese, because when I posted up about Huang, there was a massive discussion on Pinoy Athletics regarding athletes' rights to choose who they want to be their coach. Looking at the Vietnamese system, you know, let's look at Vietnam. In the last couple of SEA Games, they've gotten 16, 17 gold medals without even being the host. I believe part reason to this huge success is their athletics association's acceptance that the athletes work best with coaches that they want to work with. So now, for example, like, look at the example of Chin, the SEA Games 100-meter champion. She's worked with the same coach since she was 9 or 10 years old. The American coach, Lawrence Seagrave, came in and helped Huang become a better coach. She even took him over to let Huang come over to the US to observe how they use their coaching methods at IMG Academy in Florida, and helped Huang become a better coach. At no stage did Lawrence Seagrave say to Huang, I'm the coach now, so yeah, I'm taking the athlete. No way. He basically helped the coach become a better coach so Huang could coach the athlete better. And Huang has comfortably been with the same coach since she was 9 or 10. So Huang has led Chin from a skinny 9 or 10-year-old kid to becoming a Southeast Asian Games champion because her athletics association gave and allowed allow the opportunity for coaches to, continue working with their athletes at that higher level if the need be arises, and if that's what the athlete wants to do. And that really fire momentum in regards to our discussions, because I believe that these are the discussions we need to have, and these discussions should not be swept under the carpet regarding the athlete's right to choose who they want to work with. I mean, if the athlete doesn't perform well, then okay, they can be removed from the team, but at least they had the freedom to choose what program they wanted to do. I mean, if you force athletes, if athletes are put on a program and then they don't improve in the national team, for example, how come it is that the athletes get removed and the coaches stay? And they're free to continue cycling in more athletes with non-improvement. In terms of, efficiency of just getting in athletes and being able to improve them. I mean, say for example, you can have, a coach who's a really good coach and an athlete that's a really good athlete. But sometimes this really good athlete and this really good coach just don't have that connection. And sometimes that connection cannot be forced. It's only there because respect is gained and earned, not given at the start. So can you hear me, Coach?
Yeah.
So that's basically what I wanted to say. I was summarising up the discussions and the sentiments of the athletics community on Pinoy Athletics Group when we started up this conversation about athletes' rights to choose their own coach, and there was a lot of feedback in regards to.
So you open up the topic of athletes' right.
Exactly. It is part of athletes' rights, being allowed to choose which coach they want to work with.
That's
to maximize efficiency.
That's why athletes should have their right where to train and when to train and what coach they prepare to.
Yep. In my view, the association should be mainly focused on, the performance. If the athlete goes to a coach and they perform well, then what's wrong with that? Just because it's not one of the association's coaches. If the athlete chooses to go to a coach and performs well, I don't see what's wrong with that. If the athlete doesn't perform well with a non-association coach or whatever, then just remove them from the team. That's basically as simple as that.
Yeah.
If an athlete decides to go to a coach, that's their risk. That's their choice. That's their risk. That's basically something that they will have control of. But if you put the athlete with a coach and then they don't really want to work with that coach, then what options do they have? Work with the coach or leave the team? Then we lose athletes, basically, if we have it that way.
Because here in the Philippines, there's a monopoly of talent here. You know that?
What do you mean by a monopoly of, let's talk more about this monopoly of talent.
It is not open for all.
So, yeah, so with monopoly of talent, meaning to say that, okay, so monopoly of talent means that certain coaches are able to have more chance of getting more athletes.
Yeah.
In a nutshell. I can see that. Yeah.
The academy.
Which academy?
That they pass in Senate.
Again, which academy are we referring to? Because there's a few, and
National Sports Academy.
the National Academy of Sports.
Yeah, the National Academy of Sports.
So this National Academy of Sports, we know at this point that So now that what this National Academy of Sports means that now the provinces have to compete with the National Academy of Sports as well as the NCR schools trying to get the athletes.
So what happened to the provinces?
Yeah, that's my point, is that by getting a National Academy of Sport, that means that now all these grassroots coaches in the provinces have to compete not just with the NCR coaches who are taking, who are recruiting athletes at a younger and younger age. Like before, imagine before they're recruiting athletes maybe when they get to college. Now they can't wait for them to get to college. They recruit them at high school level, senior high school level, younger high school level. Pretty soon, if they haven't already, they'll be recruiting elementary age kids from the provinces, than just waiting for them to sort of mature before they get them. So now the province coaches not only have the NCR coaches to compete with the recruitment of athletes from them, now they've got the National Academy of Sport recruiting their athletes as well. So, if you're a grassroots coach and you don't even get to work with your athlete, imagine this. If you're a grassroots coach in the province and your athletes are getting recruited at college level, at least you get to work with them at high school and you get to coach them and see them develop in the Palarongpa Bangsa. If, like you're a grassroots coach and your athletes are being recruited now at high school level, when do you get the opportunity and the privilege and satisfaction of seeing your athletes develop if they're going to just get recruited before you've even really had time to work with them? That's my point here, is that what motivation would there be to continue being a grassroots coach if all your top athletes just get cherry-picked before you even get the opportunity to develop them and even get the time to develop yourself as a coach? Because my point is that for a grassroots coach to develop as a coach, they need to have the opportunities to work with athletes, and those opportunities are sacrificed if the athletes get recruited at a young age before the coach even gets time to develop and have the opportunity to work and develop with them. Because when a coach works with an athlete, is probably the most experience they're going to gain from coaching, more so than seminars, more so than tests and other watching YouTube videos. The hands-on approach of coaching is the way you're most going to get that experience working with athletes. And if your athletes are cherry-picked before you can even get time to work with them, how do you develop as a coach? How do you get that fair chance to develop as a coach in the province if your best athletes get taken away? And how do you continue your motivation of wanting to be a coach when being a coach in the province isn't the most lucrative career that you can have, especially if you've got a family to support? It's basically almost next to no pay. So why would you be, as a grassroots coach in the province, if your athletes if you're having to compete with NAS and NCR for recruitment of your athletes, why would you want to continue as a grassroots coach after a while if that happens all the time and you can't develop your coaching skills?
So the problem here is in our national program.
Yeah, I believe so. There should be more protection against coaches, coaching athletes and basically other coaches coming in and basically saying to them, we wouldn't like to recruit you and that sort of stuff. There needs to be more protection against that, I believe. I don't feel that there's necessary protections in place for that to continue to happen. So yeah, so basically just looking at the stats, like when we like I'm just using the example of women's middle distance, but there are other events we can probably use. But you know, like the fact is that the top Vietnamese woman runs 4:13. Even the second and the third are running 4:20s. You know, 4:20. One of their juniors is running 4:20. The best local 1500-meter runners are running 4:40 and up. So that's almost, you know, like 30 seconds behind the top Vietnamese woman, and you know, like a good 10 or 12 seconds behind the next best Vietnamese woman. So the question is, what's happening to this middle distance program? What needs to be done? You know, like it's like really like a bit of an issue that in a lot of events we don't even have medal contenders. And now that we're on the topic, I'll just bring up the results on the walks from the from the Vietnamese national championships for you to have a quick look at. If you can just see the screen, I'm just going to bring up that now, like what needs to really be done in regards to the walks. So if you can see that there, this is the results from the 20K at the Vietnamese. Like this is from this morning. These are the Vietnamese women's 20-kilometer results, done on the road, of course. So these are really the only race walking times for the whole year, because no one else is actually, no other countries because of COVID have had a 20-kilometer road race, like a 20-kilometer track walk yet this year. So what can you say about these performances in comparison to like so if you can see the screen there, so we've got 143, 145, 151, 154, 157. These are top 5 women from the Vietnamese national SEA Games trials this morning.
They are good. It's hard to catch up. They are now more.
You can see though, like the dates of birth though. Like I mean, that girl at the top, who's the best runner
of their government support.
But we can see here as well that the top runner here, I think she's the SEA Games champ, the one at the top. She's 30 years of age. So this is an event, you know, road walking is an event where you can still be good into your 30s, right? Or even. So,
you know,
an athlete.
Yep. When I developed Melinda.
Yep.
It's really all hard work.
All hard work.
And discipline. Because during that time, I developed the girls has talent.
Okay.
So are very talented during that time, and you know the fact that Melinda is short.
Yep.
She's only 4'10".
So below 5 feet tall.
Less than 5 feet tall.
Below 5 feet, right?
Yeah. And what really quality is the discipline and hard work.
Yep.
So that's our driving force.
What was Melinda's best time for the 20,000 walk?
1 hour 47 for
147. So what 147? So 147. How many years did it take you to develop Melinda to get her to that 147 prime?
So in a span of 1 year and a half.
So only 18 months. So,
Yeah.
okay. So in order to develop Melinda to 147 in 18 months, what was different then in regarding support and exposures and that sort of thing to what's different now? So my question is, when you develop Melinda, what was done better to help you develop Melinda than what's being done now?
Because during that time,
Yep.
The National Federation,
Yep.
no support for event.
Okay, when you say support, what support in what way? Like,
Support.
I
Putting
don't
you in-
disagree with you. I just want, I'm just interested in what exactly was done better in terms of support. So by support, what exactly do you mean? Do you mean more exposures? Do you mean more funding? Do you mean...
When you're there in national team, you will receiving allowance. You're
Yep.
receiving exposure. You're part of the team. You go abroad. You
Yep.
compete.
Yep. So when Melinda was a member of the national team and you got her to her prime in 18 months, how many competitions internationally was she given in 18 months?
So we train just like we train commando style.
What do you mean by commando style? Like, can you...
We train the phone
Yep.
until there's such time that the Asian Championship was held here in the Philippines. So she got a chance to represent the country. So that's her exposure to be part of the national team.
So,
You know
okay,
that?
so how many times did she get sent abroad to compete when you were coaching her? Like, in 1 year, how many times was she sent to international meets?
2 times.
Okay. So when you started with Melinda, what was her best time before she ran the 147? When you started with her, like, what was her first sort of performance when she did the walks?
2 hours 23.
Okay, so meaning to say, in a year and a half, she improved by about 23 plus 30. So she improved 36 seconds, 36 minutes.
Yeah.
Was it 36 minutes in 18 months?
Yeah. And her 10-kilometer time when we compete in Singapore, 10-kilometer road was 51 minutes.
Yep. So
And
okay. Yep.
and her marathon time, 42 kilometers. 3 hours 1 during the Manila Marathon.
She did marathons as well.
Yeah. She did road racing and race walking.
So nearly under 3 hours. So 3 hours 01.
3:01, 3 hours and 1 minute. That's a Manila Marathon won by.
Where did she finish? What placing did she get at the Manila Marathon with that?
Pardon?
What position did she finish in the Milo Marathon?
Manila, not Milo, Manila.
A Manila Marathon. What did she win it, or did she get second or third in that?
Second over Christabel.
Second behind Christabel. Okay, but that's not bad considering
No.
primarily she's a race walker.
She's a champion. She's a champion during that time.
Okay, so she's a race walker, but she had the endurance to be able to run just almost 3 hours flat for the marathon. Okay.
So we always join road racing and training for race walking.
Yep.
And then
So-
we went to World Championship. You know that?
Yep. For
We went
walks,
to
World
that's for
Race
her
Walking.
or
Which
20K.
country was that held in, Coach?
Pardon?
Which country was the World Race Walking Championships held in?
In Turin, Italy.
What year was that?
2000.
So who paid for that trip? Was that paid for by the PSC, or who exactly
No.
paid?
We solicit from private individual and the rest from the AFP, from the armed forces.
Oh, okay. So the AFP covered it because wasn't Melinda was in the army or the navy? Army, right?
Navy.
Navy. Yeah. Okay. All right. So, okay. So, just as reference, what's currently the best time of Alana? Alana hasn't run a 20 kilometer, hasn't done a 20,000 meter race walk yet, right? I was talking to her earlier.
Yes,
Showed her the results. She hasn't done a 20,000 race. Only
10,000.
What has she run? What's she done for the 10,000? Like 1 hour flat or something to that extent, right?
Yeah.
So 1 hour for the 10,000 race walk. Is that like 2 hours flat for the 20,000 race walk, or a little bit slower, or around?
Maybe two hours and 10, something like that. 2 hours 10 or 2 hours 5, something like that.
The interesting thing with Alana was like when she won that race, when she was like the surprise winner at the New Clark, when she was able to beat those older athletes at during the relay.
Supposed to be part of the SEA Games.
Yeah.
It should be there.
The interesting thing is that, I mean, the junior record was 59:21, so that was within reach. You know, she was only 40, is it minutes or maybe minutes? Or, yeah, only 40 minutes away from the, or is it seconds? I'm not sure. The junior record's 59:21, I think, for 59 minutes, 21 seconds. So she was 1 hour.
1 minute.
Yeah, she was
1 minute.
Yeah, it's about a minute or 40. It might even be 40 seconds.
Yeah.
Quickly do the math. So 59 minutes and 21 seconds. So 1 hour. Yeah, it's about 39 seconds. 39 seconds away from the junior record in the 10K. But unfortunately, we're running out of time as a junior. But you know, like within reach of breaking that junior record, like only 40 seconds away from breaking the junior record, which is
that's a problem here in our system in the Philippines.
You know, Alana's not the only athlete who's unfortunate, you know, to be so close to breaking a junior record, but then they just don't get the chance to do it because there's not enough competitions or not enough high, you know, performance type competitions available for the athlete. I mean, there's been quite a lot of issues with athletes who weren't sent to the World Youth or the World Juniors or to the Asian Juniors or the Asian Youths or whatever. You know, these international age grade meets where we can really use to, you know, level up the athletes by sending the right ones. I mean, I've looked back at the history of athletes who were sent at some of these meets, and sometimes, you know, some athletes were just not really any good, but they have the money, end up going to some of these meets. I mean, because I was going through the Asian Juniors the other day, and I saw some athletes who were coming almost last in the events, but it's just that they had money that they could afford to go, which was in itself a bit of a travesty when it comes to, selection methodology, sending athletes to, international meets. Anyhow, I'll just move on to this next slide. So these are the race. I'm not sure if you can see that. Is the font a bit small, or is it? I'll just see if I can enlarge that one. I'll just enlarge it a bit. Sorry, just a moment. Yeah, I just got to enlarge that screen. So that's the results of the men from this morning for the Vietnamese trials. So obviously, I don't know that much about race walking, but when you get down to about the 5th or the 6th place in the men, it's the same as the quality of women in Vietnam. So yeah, 1:32 is the top time from the men. So how do these times, do you recall what is the Philippine national record in the men at the moment for the 20,000 meters run?
It's 1 hour 30, 1 hour 30, 32.
All right, so the best time in Vietnam at the moment is comparable to the Philippine national record. Is that the Wedo, or who holds that?
Pardon?
Who holds the Philippine record in the 20K? Is it Mboedo or someone else?
He's my athlete.
Yeah, I know. I recall Michael. Yeah. So, are we in the walks? Are we closer in the women or in the men in terms of, having someone that we can call a SEA Games contender for a medal? Are we closer in the men or in the women at this point?
Because during that time, when we and Michael were training together,
yeah,
I am still active during that time. So we are very, very, motivated to train. We want to surpass our best, even that we are not allowed to be part of the national team.
What do you mean by that? He wasn't allowed to be Michael wasn't allowed to be a member of the national team?
You know that during your time then?
Yeah.
That you're part of the national team during that time?
Well, I wouldn't say I was in the national team. I was sort of like a developmental type athlete or a training pool. But I recall
part of the pool. We're not part of the national team.
Yeah, there wasn't when were you actually a national coach? What years were you with the association as a national coach?
I serve as volunteer for Melinda.
So you were never on the payroll?
Pardon?
So you never received any allowance from PSC the whole time that you worked with a national athlete? Not a cent?
And until that Melinda was officially in.
When was she officially in? That was like 2000 and that was before
2004.
4.
No. During Vietnam SEA Games.
2003 that was. The Vietnam hosted the SEA Games in 2003 in Hanoi.
So after that, during that time, I'm still a volunteer coach.
So how many years were you actually a non-volunteer coach with the national team?
So when they finally put Melinda in the national roster, because Melinda won bronze medal in the SEA Games. Melinda was not part of the national team.
I remember Melinda, got a bronze medal in the 2003 SEA Games. Then
That's what.
remember I was there when she had the accident on the bad piece of track at the Ultra leading up to the 2005 SEA Games.
That's for preparation for the SEA Games, Manila SEA Games. But during that time, Melinda was not part of the national team with allowance until she won the bronze medal in the SEA Games.
So just self-support up until the 2003 SEA Games, and then received allowance after they won the bronze medal. Yeah, I mean, that's odd, isn't it? I mean, some athletes, like they have to win a medal first before they will even get any support. And then some athletes get support straight away before they even win, and then they don't get any medal at the SEA Games. I've seen that, I've seen that over the years. I've seen that a lot. Athletes basically getting an allowance and then not winning anything at the SEA Games. Or in some extreme cases, an athlete getting support and not winning a medal for 2 or 3 SEA Games. I've seen that as well. Or not even qualifying for the SEA Games. Just being in the team for 4 years and just not even being of the standard to qualify for the SEA Games. I've seen that as well. So, but at the same time, just getting all that money from the PSC. It's like, even for example, like somebody like EJ had to really, before they even could get into the allowance or even get into the team, basically they had to do quite a lot more to actually qualify into the team than other athletes. There were some athletes who basically had it way easier than other athletes to get into that team. And it's not really always that transparent. Okay, so I guess what are the plans for race walking at this point? I mean, because like with the COVID and all, as you said, you're only able to train out at Capitolio and those that obviously no tracks available at the moment.
You know that
Yeah, go on. Hello? Yep. Hello? Okay, maybe signal. Okay, I'll quickly just do some shout outs to the people who are watching or who have liked this video. Okay. So yeah, there's been quite a few people on the video tonight. Okay, so the following people have been watching and liked the video: Manelio Velasco, Alex Canetti, Calvin Kalia, Annalyn Johari, Rusion Irin Norupa, Clark Ankor, Elafad Moxon, Manny Bayog, Jason McDermott, Joanny Aparo, Nori Rabadilio, Jen Bahinton, Alan Villanueva, Generita HK, Zijin Lee, Merjin Amala, Isel Villaflor, Pat Natsumian, Ilana Halagurna, and someone else. I think we may have lost communication with Coach Titus. Yeah, so Marilyn Talera is just like the. So yeah, we had about 20, 30 people tune in tonight. Now, I'm just going to wrap up what we're discussing tonight with, it's nearly been an hour. I was only hoping to go for half an hour, but anyway. Okay, yeah, so these coming soon. Obviously, we've been swamped with the Vietnamese nationals at the moment, so that's, you know, I've got a lot of other things on at the moment. I'm actually going to renew my Philippine passport tomorrow at the embassy, which I've been holding off because it's been expired for about a year and a half. Like, it's not something I really rush to do now because, you know, I don't really need my Philippine passport that much as an athlete like I did before. So, you know, I've just like sort of just put it on the to-do list, but now I'm finally getting around to going and getting my Filipino passport renewed. The main good thing about the Filipino passport is that I don't actually have to worry about when I actually visit the Philippines about queuing up in the long line. I just go into the quick line if I've got my Filipino passport, you know, get it stamped, you know, have an almost unlimited stay. I was planning to go back to the Philippines early next year, March, Feb, possibly April. Depends all really on the COVID. So yeah, the things I've got on the to-do list at the moment is updating more Vietnamese results. There's a lot of them. A comparison of Filipino sprinters from the 1960s and the men's 100 to today, and the top 10 of all times. Declining performances of 800-meter girls from the Polaroid UAP that we touched based on earlier, but we need to go into more extensively data. More articles based on training materials from notes based on stuff I covered in level 3, and updates on the athletes I'm training. Currently, I'm training 3 athletes from Africa, 10 from the Philippines, and 2 Philams from the US, so 15 in total via correspondence. More on that later. All right, so yeah, so connect with us. Don't miss out. Visit our website, www.pinoathletics.info. Follow us on Facebook, fb.com/pinoathletics. Subscribe to our new YouTube channel, youtube.com/pinoathletics, and connect with us for business purposes on LinkedIn at www.linkedin.com/pinoathletics. All right. So that's all for tonight. It's been an hour recap, and these things are good because it mainly gives me time to reflect and to some extent vent. So all good. Thank you, and bless.